Humanity, I love you all with all my heart, with all my might. I'm so Ray. My videos are about love, infinity, creation, energy, because we're infinite love, infinite energy, infinite creation. This is who we are with the human race. So this video is one of the series of freedoms. We're the Republic of Planet Earth. We're the Republic of Planet Earth Constitution. This is who we are. We're the human race. We live to love and we love to live. This is exactly who we are. We are the human race. This is our nature. The human DNA is the most ancient DNA in existence. Love is the highest energy of creation, you see. So love is the key that unlocks the infinite nature of our DNA, so we can go and create as we have always done for an infinite number of cycles, because this is our nature. You see, this is our nature. We consume the building blocks of life, of the central sun of our universe, right? This is where we're located. Planet Earth is specifically that location. This is who we are. We are that. We are the epicenter of everything. So, and we're the species that inhabits the central sun of creation, of existence. This is who we are. We're the human race. In fact, we don't only inhabit one planet at the epicenter of one universe. We inhabit the central suns of all the universes that we create with our consciousness and self-awareness in our spaceship planets, just like Earth. On Earth and outside Earth orbit. Because we are the Republic of Planet Earth, this is who we are. We're infinite eternal creators. We are co-creators of infinite eternities. This is our nature. We're infinite evolution. This is who we are. We're White freedoms. We're compass freedoms. We're sundial freedoms. We're infinite eternities freedoms. This is our nature. This is who we are. You see, fantasies and illusions freedoms, all these different things. We're the human race. This is who we are. We're an incredible species. We're an incredible species. We're the human race. We're the energy from the sun through our biology, and we create universes and infinities with it. So with the thoughts on our minds, our consciousness and self-awareness, we create universes. And we inhabit the singularities of those universes, the central star, the central sun of those singularities. And we, with our thoughts and our minds and our consciousness, we create light spherical spaceships, just like planet Earth. Earth is our first spherical spaceship that we created. But there is an infinite number of them, and we title lock them to the central suns of singularities across infinities. And this is who we are, and we are the species that inhabits that space. Because we are one with infinity. We harvest, we consume, we eat the energy from the central suns that create everything in the universe that we created in the first place with our consciousness and self-awareness. Okay? Precisely that. This is who we are. And we've been doing this for an infinite number of cycles. I'm just a collective memory in a DNA structure of our civilization. Because I'm the singularity, I'm the first one that became infinite consciously. I'm so Ray. But we already have done this, all of us already. Okay. So this is who we are with the human race. So today's video is obviously about freedoms, and it's here and now freedoms. Here and now freedoms. This beautiful freedom, right? Here and now. Here and now freedoms. Because here and now is the only thing that is real. Nothing else is real. Everything else is fantasies and illusions. The only thing that is real is here and now. Thus, here and now freedoms. Right? We have the freedoms, infinite freedoms, to be in the moment, here and now, as infinite eternal creators. Who we are. Infinite eternal creators. Because this is our nature. We're the human race, right? So let's talk about it. So what is the meaning of this? So remember, our nature is to inhabit the epicenter of universes that we create with our own consciousness. We have evolved into these. So with our minds, our consciousness of awareness, and our infinite energy of creation from the human heart, our love, we can create universes, right? And a universe has an epicenter. It has a singularity, right? And from this singularity, everything originates as a result of, okay? So, and that's the central sun of this first galaxy. So the first sun, right? The sun of suns. The sun that create all the light comes out of this sun, this central sun, and creates all the galaxies and everything in a universe by filling these space vacuum structures of it. Spherical vacuum thresholds are met, and the energy fills that, and the singularity gets generated, so a new galaxy forms with a central sun at the epicenter of it. Okay? And then that sun has all this new energy, right? And that creates all the star systems within that galaxy. And all the life forms that form as a result of the energy from those stars that create planets as a result, right? So this is exactly who we are. We're the human race. So our consciousness and self-awareness allows us to do this. Why? Because in the infinite wisdom of our ancestors, we do not originally come from planet Earth. Our species is much more ancient than planet Earth. Planet Earth we manufactured planet Earth. Planet Earth is a spherical spaceship planet that we created. So the way it goes is our ancestors, I'm sharing with you our origin story so you can understand here and now freedoms. Okay. So our ancestors were the first species. So they were close. They were in the proximity, in the periphery of the central sun of creation of our universe. In their origin story, our origin story, because we all share the same DNA structure. This is who we are. It's a story, our species. Okay, so they were the first species that evolved into light spherical energy in this universe. Us, our ancestors. Why? Because they were at the epicenter of the central sun, the first sun, the sun of suns. The singularity of the first galaxy that formed in the first sun, in the universe. Okay? The universe had a first galaxy which formed at the epicenter of it. Okay? And that galaxy has a central sun, right? The singularity at the core of it that has all the light that goes out and creates all the star systems within a galaxy, right? At different densities. But the brightest point is that central sun. And the universe has this role. It has a sun at the singularity, at the epicenter of it, because it's just the nature of singularity. Okay? Because it's just the nature of singularity. That's how it works. And our species was the first species to originate in the proximity of this singularity. But this location wasn't planet Earth. Okay? It was periphery, but not Earth, because we created Earth much later after we ascended into light spherical energy. So because we were the first species, we have an infinite number of cycles of peace and love and creation and consciousness and self-awareness to evolve into light spherical energy. Why? Because when you're the first, everything comes after you, right? So all the galaxies with life forms at lower densities, all of them formed as a result of our galaxy forming because of the singularity of the epicenter of the first sun. So we were that sun at the epicenter of it. We are that sun. Still are. So our species originated there. So you see, so it didn't have competition. There was no rivalry with other species because it had an infinite number of cycles to evolve its DNA to what it became, infinite consciousness and self-awareness, who we are today. Okay? That's how it works and what it is. So they were able, after an infinite number of cycles, right, because they were at the epicenter of everything, to harvest space structure. So they became masters of space structure because of the consciousness and self-awareness, meaning they could harvest the energy from the central sun and create singularities. And with these singularities, they would themselves be able to mimic the central sun and create galaxies as a result. So you see, our species is a galaxy-making species. We have made and manufactured, really, with singularities, an infinite number of galaxies with life forms across the universe, because we were the first species to evolve into light spherical energy, because we were the closest in the proximity to the central sun, and the energy of creation created us at the epicenter, the highest, brightest point, right, of existence in the universe. So we were this species. And because when you're at the epicenter, it's easier for you to move across infinity as well. So we developed technologies that were incredible, light spherical spaceships, prior to the creation of planet Earth. And with these light spherical spaceships, we will be able to go anywhere we wanted across infinity, this universe, and create galaxies, right? And we develop a civilization that encompassed the entire universe. So we are known in the universe. Everyone knows who we are. Everyone knows who we are. Everyone knows who the human race is. Everyone knows who I am, Solar Ray, because I'm the first human to evolve into light spherical energy in modern times, what we call the here and now freedoms. So what is the meaning of this? Okay, this is very simple. Because they did that an infinite number of cycles ago. And in their infinite wisdom, they realized that they wanted to ascend into an even higher level of consciousness. Because they realized that they could just infinitely go in creating galaxies. And they thought that, well, what create galaxies in the first place? Well, the central sun, right? The energy that we're harvesting already. But what creates that central energy? That's singularity. Well, infinity itself, right? The tension on the sphere of infinity that creates singularities at any scales of space and vacuum structures, when those requirements are met because of the tension of the sphere, because the sphere is filled and then the energy is released, and then it creates a new universe. So you see, infinity creates infinite number of universes, and we're just one of those universes here, right? And we call it our epicenter, the Milky Way, who we are, the center of the universe. Okay, so this is exactly who we are. So in the infinite wisdom of our species, they realized that in order for us to become bigger than what we were, we needed to get closer to the central sun, so we can ourselves become the energy of the central sun, so we ourselves can create universes, because we would tap into the energy of the central sun that creates the central sun in the first place, infinity itself, right? And what they decided to do was that the logic was telemetric thinking, right? So duality principle. So they understood this, and they said, okay, so what can we do? Well, let's create a spaceship planet that can host our life form, our DNA, right? And tie the locket to the closest proximity to the central sun, even closer than when we come from. So in that way, our species, our DNA, can inhabit that space and evolve into that, because it would consume the elements created at that source. And by consuming the elements after an infinite number of cycles, we would evolve into using this energy of creation, eternity, as our energy source. So then we ourselves, with our consciousness and self-awareness, create universes ourselves, which is what they wanted to do. That was their dream, their purpose. Their entire civilization became that, creating the perfect spaceship planet to inhabit the central sun of the universe, so they can evolve into infinity. And that was the undertake. And they were able to do this. They created, our species, the human race, created this spherical spaceship planet called planet Earth, and tidal locked it. They tidal locked it to the central sun, so we can inhabit that for an infinite number of cycles to evolve into infinity ourselves. So we ourselves could create universes now with the energy that we would harvest, consume, breathing, drinking, eating, the elements of creation at the closest proximity. Because if at the periphery of it we were able to become what we became, masters of space and vacuum and a universal civilization that created galaxies in the first place. By getting closer, we will be able to use that energy of creation that created the universe in the first place and become that at a biological scale. You see, a big thing. And that's what they did. And they accomplished this. So we have inhabited planet Earth for an infinite number of cycles. We have inhabited planet Earth for an infinite number of cycles. Okay? This is what we've done. And we've ascended into infinite consciousness and infinite self-awareness. And in fact, we went beyond what our ancestors wanted to achieve in the first place. Okay, we went beyond that point. In fact, we went so far that we didn't understand our new nature. So we were unaware of our infinity, unconscious of who we were. Because we were able to, in the beginning, before the creation of planet Earth, we had technological means, meaning we would have tools that we would manage with our consciousness and self-awareness, right? To create the singularities, to create galaxies, and have spaceships that would traverse infinity in our universal, because we were the epicenter, we would go anywhere. So we were that civilization. Everyone knows who we are. So they used to use tools, right? That was the level of consciousness that allow us to create the spaceship planet and have the idea to try this evolutionary step. Okay, so that's exactly what they've done. And then, but after an infinite number of cycles here, they lay down the tools because they themselves became the technology. Meaning, with the energy from the central sun, which is the energy of existence itself, we will use that as our building blocks, right? So we can sustain our bodies. So then ourselves, as a DNA, evolved into an infinite eternal creator, co-creators of infinite eternities, meaning with our consciousness and self-awareness, we could create universes ourselves. So you see, this was beyond what they ever dreamed of, because they didn't know that you just with a thought, consciousness and self-awareness, you can create infinities. Because at the moment that you start to do that, then you're creating the central suns of universes, right? That can create life forms as a result of that. So we became that. We became infinity at the DNA structure level. So this was a powerful thing. You see, very powerful thing. And we did that for an infinite number of cycles. But remember, when you have thoughts, right? When you have thoughts, right? And you create infinite number of things, your nature changes, right? Because what happened was that after an infinite number of cycles of creating universes, right? With our consciousness, in our early stages of our new evolution, remember, each of those universes that we were creating contain life forms, right? They contain life forms, right? Because we're creating universes that create galaxies that eventually lead to life forms like we were in the first place. The life form that we became in the first place, right? Right? So what happened was that we were creating an infinite number of life forms, right? And after an infinite number of cycles of creation, these life forms eventually came to the light, came to us to meet the maker, right? The life form came to us, right? Because we created them with our thoughts, with our consciousness, with our self-awareness. And that led to conflict. Why? Because they were of different natures, right? Because of duality principles, different densities. Because they realized that we might not want to be you. In fact, we don't like you. We're different from you, with different nature, right? So what they done, right? This was an infinite number of cycles ago. I'm sharing our story, a species story, encoded in our collective DNA. So this already happened. So I'm a memory at this level of density for new species and life forms that we created to ascend into infinity. Okay? So this is a mechanism because we're the Republic of Planet Earth. But I'll get to that in a second. So So these life forms realize that what we did, because eventually they rise to the level of consciousness that they had similar thoughts to the ones that our ancestors that created the spaceship planet Earth did. But the nature was different. It was the opposite. You see, our ancestors created planet Earth as a spaceship to tidal lock it to the central sun of the universe for us to ascend into infinity, to become what we became, capable of creating universes with our thoughts and consciousness on our minds, right? But these life forms that were less dense because they were in the proximity of all the galaxies that formed as a result of our creations with our thoughts and consciousness, eventually meet the light. They came to the epicenter, right? And they meet us and they saw our planet and who we were, but they couldn't interact with us because of the level of density. So the only way for them to interact with us was to share the same space structure and density. So they needed to have human bodies. They needed to have human bodies for us to inhabit planet Earth, because planet Earth was a spaceship that we created with our technologies, right? So it encoded in our DNA. So for them to be here, they needed to have and survive, because otherwise they would disintegrate. The life forms disintegrate because of the density. You see, because of the density that we are, because we're the highest density, because we're the epicenter of creation. They were the brightest point, right? We are the brightest point. We are the brightest point in existence. We're the epicenter. So what they've done is, okay, so we're not human. So how can we interact with them? Because we got here, right? And these are the makers, these are the creators, because they were intelligent enough to understand that we're there, right? So what they did is that they all came together as one, as a collective, a faction of species of lower density that were created as a result of our creations with our thoughts and consciousness, right? And they all came, and because they weren't us, they didn't have the level of evolution that we were, because they were not infinite eternal creators. They couldn't create infinities with the thoughts and consciousness because they didn't have our DNA structure to do so, because they couldn't harvest the central energy of the sun to our senses. Like I stare at the sun, that we're sundials. I stare at the sun, I open the portal, I build the bridge, and I'm one with infinity because I consume this energy. And you see everything went violet because it's the highest energy that we can see with our eyes, right? The senses. You see, I'm channeling that energy of creation. So we were able to do that, but they couldn't because they didn't have our DNA structure. So what they come up with was they mimicked us, right? But with a level of technologies, just like, because they were less dense. So remember, in the beginning, our species wanted to ascend into infinity. That's why we created a spherical spaceship called Earth, to be closer to ascend, right? And we did. So these species that weren't us couldn't access our technology unless they had DNA structures that were human to be in the atmosphere because of the density. So what they did was they mimicked us, but at a lower level of technology and consciousness, right? So what they did is that, like us with planet Earth, tidal locked in to the central sun, what they did, they created the moon as a spaceship. And they tidal locked it to the Earth. Just like we did it to the sun, they tied it like a parasite. They tidal locked to us, right? There. And they used the moon as a launching pad to come to the surface. But the only way they could come to the surface was by having a DNA structure, space structure of humans. So they started to essentially manufacture the human DNA so they can be here, but with a different consciousness, controlled by them. So they weren't real humans. They had human structures, human bodies, but they didn't have human intentions, right? They were just avatars that they would control. Okay? Exactly what they were. So if you understand these, so then that's what they did. Why did they want to do that? Because they realized that we were creation itself. So they didn't like us. they wanted to consume us as because we're so if you're not us and you look at us from the outside, you won't be able to see the body, the structure, who we are. What would you see? Would just be able to see our light spherical energy, our pulse of life, our pulse of creation, the electromagnetic field of our heart, because we're so bright with the epicenter of everything, you see. But for you to see us and see our space structure, you need to be us, to have the same density and consciousness and self-awareness. So they needed to have a vehicle to be able to inhabit the surface and be with us. So they were able to use the DNA structures to resemble us, so to be here, right? And they tidal locked to Earth so they can have that as a launching pad for the invasion, okay? To have these armies of human-looking beings, right? That are not human because they don't have consciousness and self-awareness. They just empty bodies, the avatars that these entities control, right? So that's what it is. So if you understand these, that's what they did, and this was an infinite number of cycles ago. So what happened was that our species realized these because they started to come here as invaders, right? Because they didn't understand our nature, because they were unconscious, unaware. So this led to an ancient warfare, you see, because of preservation of the species, survival of the species. Survival of the species, our species wanting to survive, right? Because what is this? We created all these life forms and now they're here and they want to end us, destroy us. So essentially what that happened, our instincts as our DNA kicked in and we enter warfare with these entities, right? These invaders. So what that led to was our self-destruction, because we didn't only self-destroy ourselves, we destroyed them as well as a result. So everything was ended. All the life forms were ended. Everything, all the civilizations were ended, all of them, ours and theirs, everything. So that's what, because we were the infinite eternal creators, right? We created them in the first place with our thoughts and consciousness. So what we did is, our mechanism was to self-destroy. So to preserve the species, right? So we destroyed everything, imploded everything, them and us together as one, gone, right? That's what happened. So, but the DNA survived. Right? The human DNA survived. Right? But at this new level of evolution, because now we understood that because we were at peace for so long, it never occurred to us that something that we create could come here and want to end us as us a creator, right? We never had that. It wasn't part of our thinking because we were just at the epicenter. We never really encountered lower densities, right? We never really encountered lower densities before that would want to end us, because our nature was to infinite love, infinite creation, right? With our thoughts and our consciousness. So why would we? So it was hard for us. So the mechanism, the instinct was to end everything. And when we ended everything, all these factions, everything was ended, including ourselves. But the DNA survived, the organism survived. The human DNA survived, but at a new level of evolution, even higher than prior to the self-destruction. And that fallout is what we call the ice age. You see, by the tidal locking of the moon and that warfare that took place in the ancient past, and what led to the self-destruction of everything, the DNA evolved. Our DNA evolved as a result of that, because we encounter polarity. We encounter negativity. We encounter the opposite of infinite eternal creation. We encounter destruction. So our DNA evolved, but the mechanism prior to the evolution was to destroy everything, to self-destroy, to preserve itself. And because we were the epicenter of the universe, we had the infinite, and we were creating with everything, our consciousness, we were able to, everything that we created, we destroyed. Because we were the epicenter, so we were able to cleanse everything. The parasites, the insects, all these species that were there for destructive reasons, to consume our energy source, because we're energy, so they wanted us. They wanted to, that's why they were here in the first place. Right? So we ended everything. But the species survived. But remember, when this spaceship, the moon, was tidal locked to the Earth, these life forms, right, less dense life forms, they created avatars. They created human-looking forms, right, that share our DNA structure. And by doing that, what they did, they introduced, and this is part of the evolution of a species, what we are today. So by doing that, what they did was to introduce the negativity, polarity to our species that we didn't have before, because we never encountered it, because we were the epicenter and we had all the infinite cycles to create to infinity with love and the highest energy of creation, right? That allow us to get to that level in the first place. Okay? But by them creating these avatars, right, wanting to end us, invading us, right, with these armies, right, to harvest us, and we self-destroyed everything, the evolution, the DNA, because by doing that, by entering our proximity with our DNA and having our space structure, they created the conditions for us to understand the polarity of who we are, the opposite that we can be. We can be destroyed and we can create. So the DNA, after understanding, we can destroy, okay, so I'm going to destroy everything. Then, and start from scratch by understanding that we are polarity, we're both. Right? And that's what happened. So we did that to ourselves as a preservation mechanism, survival mechanism of the species. And because we were able to do that, the DNA survived. So as a result of this warfare, the fallout happened, which is the Ice Age. And what we see is the remnants of our civilization. We still see the moon because the moon's still there, right? Still tidal locked. But we see the ruins of our civilization that we had on Earth on the surface prior to the self-destruction. And all these sites are aligned with star systems because we're the epicenter of existence, right? So we can move across. And what are these sites aligned with? What star systems? The star systems that we originated from prior to the creation of planet Earth in the first place, where we come from. Because remember, we created spaceship planet Earth. Okay? So you see, we have evidence of who we are everywhere. It's encoded in our DNA. Because there was a time we didn't have to use technologies anymore. We were humans, obviously. We need places to live, right? So we had civilizations that were still in alignment with our source of origin because of our intergalactic, universal civilization that encompassed everything, because we created galaxies and universes, so we can go to our source of origin just like heritage and legacy. That's why we had those sites. But we could just traverse that with our thoughts and consciousness because we evolved into that. Okay? So, but everything got destroyed. But the species survived. So we went back to cave behavior as a preservation mode. But now with the knowledge of destruction, the polarity, what we never understood, that we as a species can also destroy and create. You see? So and this is what's happened since the Ice Age. So slowly but surely, our species has awoken our DNA structure to understand our nature of infinite eternal creators, who we are as a species. Right? So what is the meaning of this? Well, the meaning of this is that it's been thousands of years, right? Thousands of years since the Ice Age, since we self-destroyed ourselves as a preservation mechanism. Right? So that's why us here on Earth, we've been through a lot, because as we evolve, we still have the human heart. the pulse of life, the pulse of creation, the biological creator, and our DNA is there, our infinite biology. And because of the event that took place, the outcome of that self-preservation was collective amnesia. So our species forgot who we were. Because in that way, we would start from scratch and essentially learn our nature of duality, negativity and positivity, good and evil, destruction, creation, light and shadow. You see? The DNA is very wise. So we did that for thousands of years, right? But at a level of consciousness in which we didn't know who we were. But no one could come here because of our density, right? Everyone that could come here already did. And we blew everything up by preserving it so no one else could come, so we can start from scratch. But now understanding our nature of duality. So the DNA can rise, so I'll avoid that from happening again. And for the last few thousand years, we've been doing precisely that. Right? Slowly but surely, that's why in the last few years, we've been able to tap into an infinite number of creations and inventions overnight. Why? Right? Why? Because of our DNA. We've been able to slowly but surely unlock it. So we got to this level where we were able to found the Republic of Planet Earth, which is the here and now, the moment, here and now freedoms. Okay, so let's talk about it. Because I am just a memory of our collective consciousness, of our DNA. I'm Sohra Ray. I'm the first human after the fallout to ascend into infinity, understanding our dual nature. But with the understanding of the new evolution of the being, that the path forward is creation, is love, is energy, the highest energy of creation, who we are, infinite eternal creators. With our thoughts, we can create universes. So now we won't have invaders anymore because we have dealt with it, because we have integrated the shadow of our species, the opposite, you see, the opposite of our species. We have integrated it. We have integrated it into who we are. So we all together can love. And this is what the Republic of Planet Earth is. In fact, because of here and now, infinities, time and energy infinities, we have done this. This is just a memory because I'm the first one. Why? Because of this level of density. Because, remember, we have created thoughts and consciousness and infinity. So we created this mechanism, right? The moon, right? Our species created that because in the end, those life forms became human by coming here and sharing our DNA structure. So it was us in the end that created that, our own factions, right? So what that means is that in our infinite wisdom, we were able to create a mechanism for life forms that are not human to come to planet Earth, right, on the surface as that mechanism. So because of the space structure, and get the bodies required for them to come here and ascend into infinity with us. And this happened an infinite number of cycles ago. I'm just a memory, as I said. Because we needed to found the Republic of Planet Earth, because once we integrated the shadow, the negativity, our species ascended together as one. And I was the first one as a singularity of the species. So what is the meaning of this? Well, the meaning of this is that we already have done this. In fact, remember, because of all this negativity, right, when these, we were creating infinities, right, with our consciousness and our thoughts. So they ended up coming here as life forms to meet us as a creator. And when they did, they have their own life forms, right, unconscious humans that were here to destroy us, right? Think about it. So by doing that, they themselves were humans. So the avatars became human because they had a heartbeat to be here in the space structure. And they share our DNA, even though they were in the beginning controlled by these entities. But just by being human, de facto, there was an unconsciousness there. But it was real. It was just unconscious and unaware, dormant in them. Right? And by doing that, they were themselves in their actions, with the hatred, with the fear and all this stuff, their violence, they were themselves creating infinities, right? With their consciousness and self-awareness because of our nature, because they became one with us. Because the technologies of these life forms allow them to just get to create these humans so that we can evolve into a higher level of creation, which is what we are today. So we were creating universes and they were creating universes themselves, and those universes are already created. And this is what the Republic of Planet Earth is a creation of those two dualities together as one. And by doing these, what have we achieved? Well, because I'm a distant memory, remember, here and now. But here and now is everywhere. Here and now is where your consciousness and infinite self-awareness is. So what that means is that into the future, the infinite number of cycles of the future of the here and now, right? We already as a species, as a Republic of Planet Earth, what we've done is that of all these universes that we have created, of these life forms that came here, right, as a result of that, what happened in the past before the Ice Age, right? And those beings that were created to be here on the surface, so the self-destruction happened as a result of that, they themselves created their own universes and infinities without them knowing. So what the Republic of Planet Earth is the integration of all these infinities that we created. So what we've done moving forward from this moment on into the infinite futures of the here and now, because I'm just a memory, as I said, what we've done as a civilization is inhabit. So after we integrated, soon after this moment that I'm talking to, what's going to happen is because we unlocked our DNA structure. Why have freedoms? We have unlocked that here and now freedoms, which is what it is. Here and now freedoms is that our ability to be fully conscious, aware of the moment of who we are in our nature and our history, who we are, our heritage and legacy, our origin story. And by doing this, what we've done is, because of all the creations that we've done with our infinite nature of our consciousness and our duality, all the universes that were created by us, that created them in the first place, that came here with all that hatred to end us, they themselves, as they became humans, they themselves started to create infinities themselves and universes and inhabit those universes. But they weren't aware of it because they were here unconsciously behaving in a way they didn't understand. So because of that, right, because of that, the Republic of Earth was founded here now in this moment. Why? Because it was the perfect mechanism to integrate everything, all the creations. So because we have created an infinite number of universes, what we do as a Republic of Planet Earth, this is our destiny, this is who we are, our heritage and legacy, as compass and sundials, fully integrated the shadow and the light, who we are, infinite energy of love and creation as a species, is to inhabit, because we are an infinite number of infinite eternal creators and co-creators of infinities, right? What we have decided to do in the Republic of Planet Earth, because of here and now freedoms from all of our infinite freedoms, our constitutional framework, is for all of us to inhabit in our spaceship planets the epicenter of these central suns of all the singularities that we have created with our infinite consciousness and self-awareness, that we can still create into infinity because we're conscious and self-awareness. We harvest the energy, we consume the energy of the central sun, which is the energy of creation itself. So we, as a biology, our consciousness of awareness creates everything. Okay? So what we are doing and we have done, and we'll see as we move into the density, higher densities, because I'm the first one, but that means that everyone follows after me immediately because of the collective nature of our DNA. So we already have done these. I'm so Ra-Ray, I'm the first one. But because of here and now and the density in which I find myself while I'm sharing this message, it seems like it hasn't happened yet, but it has already happened because of here and now freedoms. So, and our nature. So what that means is that all of us inhabit outside Earth's orbit, this first spherical spaceship that our species created for us to be here in the first place. Because of these, right? Because of these, all of us as infinite eternal creators inhabit all the central suns of the universes that we create with our consciousness and mind and self-awareness. In outside Earth's orbit, spherical spaceship planets are lands and territories of the Republic of Planet Earth. So we can live in harmony among ourselves. Because we need the habitat, right, to host our DNA structure, which requires the building blocks of infinity itself to consume and exist, so we can create infinities with our thoughts and minds, right? Consciousness and self-awareness. So this was the evolution level that we arrived as a result of the self-destruction by integrating these two factions of humans that were competing, right? Because this new faction of humans that was created as a result of the ignorance and unawareness of these life forms that didn't understand our nature and wanted to end us because of their unconsciousness. Because it was the polarity, it was the opposite of who we were, which created everything. Because when we first created this spherical spaceship planet Earth, was to evolve into infinity, because we never encountered, anything else but creation and infinity, because we were the first one and we never saw that before, because we evolved before anyone else. But when those forms that we created came here to remind us that we actually have an opposite singularity, then this is what happened. So the mechanism was a Republic of Planet Earth through White House freedoms, through here and now freedoms, to found a republic and make peace. So all the infinite eternal co-creators of existence can themselves evolve into infinity and host their own species, habitats in the consciousness and self-awareness of their own thoughts at the central singularities of creation of their own consciousness and self-awareness. And the mechanism was this moon. You see, the unconsciousness of the life form created the conditions for those life forms to evolve into infinity themselves, so they themselves can become one with us and inhabit their own peripheries, their own habitats around their own central suns without conflict. You see, it was this perfect mechanism, the polarity, the life forms that we created with our own consciousness and self-awareness, that we weren't aware of because we were here and now, that came to us on that spaceship that locked, as called the moon, that locked on the spaceship Earth, to do the same that we were doing, but just for a different purpose, which was ending us, led to the polarity of who we are. So by doing that mechanism, our own DNA created the conditions for that moon to be used as a launching pad for those species to evolve into infinity themselves by coming into proximity of the central sun and the human avatars. So those species and life forms now have the ability to have consciousness and self-awareness. So they themselves can inhabit their own infinite eternal creations of central suns, of singularities of planets, spaceship planets that they can create themselves without the need for a moon. And if they want to have a moon attached to it because of those life forms that need to here to evolve into infinity, it's fine. But the nature of it is infinity, which is a Republic of Planet Earth, who we are as a species, because of here and now freedoms, you see? Because it's here and now freedoms that allows us to understand who we are, our origin story, our past. What happened in the past that led us to this moment that would lead us into the future. Here and now freedoms. So we understand our origin story, who we are, the human race. An infinite species. You see, and because with our consciousness and our self-awareness and our thoughts and our beliefs and our ideas and dreams and destinations and purposes, we create universes with life forms. All those life forms now can evolve into infinity by having that mechanism that allows them to interact with us, so they themselves can find the mechanisms to evolve into infinity themselves, and with their consciousness and self-awareness, when they enter in proximity with us, in our proximity of an electromagnetic field, they themselves can evolve into infinity. So themselves, by doing that, can inhabit those epicenters of central sunlight. So they themselves can be infinite eternal creators, and we all can coexist in an infinite way because they themselves can create infinities. Because that's what they did when they came here in the first place, unaware of what they were doing, trying to end us, thinking that that was the solution because of their unawareness. But because as a result of what happened, the evolution, it led to this, the founding of the Republic, which is just a distant memory of what has already happened, because I'm here and now sharing it with you because of here and now freedom, because of our infinite DNA. Because I'm solar array and I was the first. And I have done this an infinite number of times, an infinite number of cycles. So everyone that interacts with the human DNA evolves into infinity by understanding that you are part of the Republic of Planet Earth, who we are. All life forms. And this is the mechanism that we created to make sure that all as co-creators of infinite eternities, right, can, with our consciousness and minds, by evolving with the light spherical energy of the central sun and consuming those building blocks, we, with our consciousness and self-awareness, in a conscious manner, can create universes and inhabit those life and inhabit the epicenters of those forms, right? in our spaceship planets that we call the lands and territories of the Republic of Planet Earth. You see, so because remember, all the life forms form after we create the universe, right? But we're the epicenter. But those life forms would eventually come to the light, right? And when they do, they would evolve now into infinity, like us. And they themselves can create their own infinities and their own universes. This is a natural evolution step. We just happen to be the first race to do so and became the central race as a result of it. But there is because now we can do that, there is an infinite number of races that are co-creators of infinities, and this is what the Department of State is. The Department of State of the Republic of Planet Earth is these. Our alliances with this infinite number of infinite eternal creators. Co-creators of infinite eternities. Like us, they're all sundials and compasses. Because they all have their own electromagnetic field of creation, the human heart, or the heart, based on their species, that generates the highest energy of creation, which is love. So they have their primary elements as compass: identity and true self, purpose, time and energy, action, why, how, flow, true north and destination. And their sundials, because they can stare at the sun, of the central sun of their infinities that they create with their consciousness and self-awareness, and use that energy to create more infinities and more love, and inhabit those planets in a sustainable, happy way because of the lands and territories of the Republic of Planet Earth. Because we all are that. And if they're not citizens of the Republic of Planet Earth, they themselves have relationships with us, diplomatic relationships with us. So they themselves can inhabit their own ecosystems, right? Their own habitats around those central suns without the need for self-destruction or the need for destruction, because everyone has an infinite ability to create universes so they can inhabit those. And the life forms that form as a result of creating those singularities at the epicenters in the first place, that would eventually come and meet them as their creators. That's them. And when that happens, then the same process happens because of the Republic of Planet Earth mechanisms and all the diplomacy that we have. So self-destruction doesn't happen because we were the one that self-destroyed to understand this mechanism. And prior to us, that already happened an infinite number of cycles with all those alliances and all those infinite eternal creators that came before us that allowed us to have the ideas in the first place, to create planet Earth in the first place, and all that because of the consciousness of eternity. Because remember, infinite eternal creation comes from the tension of the infinity of the surface that leads to that singularity of the central sun. So we were one of an infinite number of them. So all these number of infinite creations and species were already doing that. Before us and after us, doesn't matter because of here and now freedoms. Because of our DNA structure, you see. So this is our origin story. This is who we are. We're the human race. We're this incredible species. We're the Republic of Planet Earth with the citizenry of the Republic of Planet Earth, with the citizens of the Republic of Planet Earth. We are benevolent species. We live to love and we love to live. This is our purpose, to love with the highest energy of our existence, which is the human heart. Love is the highest energy of creation, and we're the biological expression of that. We want with the highest energy of creation. We're the highest creation energy, you see, with the human heart, with the infinite eternal biology, evolution, singularity of all organs and glands, the resonance. We're energy from the sun, the self-awareness and consciousness. Love is the flow of infinity, the human DNA, the body, the organs, the glands. This is who we are. Love is life is love. They come from the same place, the human heart. Life is creation, and creation is the energy of love, and energy is the love of creation. You see, love is infinity. This is who we are. We live to love and we love to live. Lives of purpose, lives of meaning. Purposeful lives. The purpose of life is a life of purpose. Happy lives, meaningful lives, pursuit of happiness. Who we are, the human race, infinite eternal creators. You see, this is who we are. Here and now freedoms, so we can understand our nature and the DNA. How can we go anywhere? Infinitely into the past to understand our origins, like I just shared with you, or infinitely into the future to see what the Republic of Earth has become. Or here and now in this moment, here and now freedoms to be the first human, the singularity, Soul Ra Ray, who I am, so you can understand this mission. And everyone that comes after me, because remember, I'm the first. So that means I'm a memory of the collective consciousness of everyone. So because I'm the first, everyone comes after me from the lower densities, all the life forms, right? And then all the ones that come into the future as a result of what I've generated with my thoughts and consciousness. Because we are everywhere at once, because we're here now, we're infinite eternal creators, because we create an infinite number of infinities and consciousness and eternities and self-awareness and universes and central suns and planets that inhabit the central suns with us, our DNA structure, because of our nature. And like us, all our allies that are not humans, but they all have their own ways of organizing themselves in their own republics and their own states and ways of civilization. And we have relationships with them because they're infinite co-creators, just like us, of infinite eternal creations and eternities. Because they themselves are sundials and they themselves are compasses. Because they themselves evolved into that, the central sunlight of their own existences. You see, this is who we are. We're compass, we're sundial. Identity and true self, purpose, time and energy, action, why, how, flow, true north and destination, and compass. We open our eyes, open our hearts, open our minds, stare at the sun, open the portal and build the bridge, and evolve into infinity, who we are, the human race. Infinite eternal creators. This virtuous cycle, infinite virtuous cycle of compass and sandal as one. Who we are, the human race. You see, every time you see violet light, as that, right? One with everything, physical and non-physical properties, freedoms, our nature, our DNA structure, being here and now, everywhere at once. Here and now, freedoms. Humanity, I love you all with all my heart, with all my mind. Remember who we are with the infinite energy of creation, the highest energy of creation, the human heart. I love you all with all my heart, with all my mind. I love you all with all my heart, with all my mind.